What is up, my dudes? Cheap bastard talking to ya. And for today's video I wanted to find out how well the most powerful consumer grade CPU from 2011 is holding up 9 years later. You can find it on eBay or AliExpress for around 75 euros or 85 George Washingtons, depending on where you live, of course. Specs overview coming real quick. 4 cores, 8 threads, base clock of 3.5 GHz with a turbo up to 3.9, 95 watt TDP and 8 MB of L3 cache. By the way, my test system contains 8 GB of dual channel DDR3 RAM and RX 580 8 GB. Let's head out to testing results. Playing CSGO on 1080p very high settings, I got an average of 172.3, a minimum of 101.6 and the maximum of 277.7 FPS. The next game I tested is Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Running in-game benchmark on very high settings gave me an average of 56.3, a minimum of 46.8 and the maximum of 87.9 FPS. GTA 5 benchmark also showed a really pleasant result. After trying my best to tune this car to look like Brian's Eclipse from Fast and Furious, I went out to a city for a drive on ultra settings. It gave me an average of 80.4, a minimum of 44.3 and a maximum of 106.8 FPS. Rocket League on 1080p highest quality settings gave me an average of 175.6, a minimum of 115.3 and a maximum of 245.6 FPS. Red Dead Redemption 2 for an i7 was a walk in a park. It was chilling on around 50% of usage while RX 580 8 GB was trying its best to maintain over 60 FPS on high settings. Nevertheless, it got an average of 71.3, a minimum of 56.2 and a maximum of 79 FPS. Plants vs Zombies Battle for Neighborville on high settings was the first game on this whole list that showed the CPU's age. On ultra settings, CPU was maxing out on 100% of usage and was giving me frame drops, but lowering settings to high returned a decent average of 81.8, a minimum of 56.9 and a maximum of 100 FPS. Jumping over to Overwatch, I got an average of 67.6, a minimum of 60.1 and a maximum of 74.2 FPS. The tests were done on 1080p epic settings and GPU was a serious bottleneck here, so reducing settings will give you much more FPS. Rainbow Six Siege on 1080p maximum settings gave me an average of 134.3, a minimum of 75.9 and the maximum of 211.9 FPS. Still died against bots though. I'm so good at this game that I didn't even bother filming the gameplay. Time runs fast, but not as fast as me in Assetto Corsa. On 1440p ultra settings I got an average of 129.3, a minimum of 99.5 and the maximum of 141.1 FPS. And for the last game of today I got you some Dark Souls, but on 4 wheels. And yes, I'm talking about Dirt Rally 2.0. On 1080p high settings, RX 580 was like this, and my i7 was like... I got an average of 74.9, a minimum of 67.9 and the maximum of 81.1 FPS. So, this i7's aging could be summarized in this clip.
Get your ass back here, boy!
I was really surprised that RX 580 8 GB was too weak for it. Here's the list of GPUs I think this i7 would shine with. And remember, it is running on stock speeds, so just think what kind of performance it would get when overclocked. And do note that running it on 16GB of RAM will give even more FPS. Thanks for watching, people. I created an Instagram account where I post sneak peeks of my videos, so if you are interested, follow at cbastardyt. And also, if you liked this video, subscribe for future content. Stay cheap, my dudes. Cheap Bastard out.